Hello, are you ready for bed? Well, sit back and listen to how Griffin finds his fire. Once upon a time, there was a dragon called Griffin. Griffin lived in a hidden land called Dragonia, and only dragons knew how to find it. Griffin was a very happy dragon and had lots of friends at school. He was the biggest dragon in his class, with enormous wings and a very long tail, and a very big head with a smile to match. The only thing was that Griffin did not have any fire in his mouth. All his friends had fire in their mouths, and every day they would all play fire tig. Fire tig was their favourite game, and they would jump into the sky, flap their wings, and try to chase each other, and shoot fire and burn each other's bottoms. And dragons have very big bottoms. Griffin loved to join in, but because he didn't have any fire, he could never win the game, and he always had his bottom burnt by all his friends. One day, after a long game of fire tig, Griffin thought to himself, I wonder if I can find a way to get fire into my mouth. He hadn't seen any fire around Dragonia except for those started by his friends. All the other dragons living in Dragonia had fire. Griffin was also a very brave dragon and loved to have adventures. So he decided to see if he could find fire himself. Early the next morning, when all the dragons were still sleeping, he crept out of his cave. He opened his giant wings and he bent his legs and jumped into the sky. He flapped his giant wings as hard as he could, and he flew up and up and up and up right to the top of the sky. Then he looked down at Dragonia one more time, chose a direction, flapped his wings, and started to fly across the land. He flew faster than he'd ever flown before. He flew over castles and rivers and seas and mountains and huge valleys. He kept flying for more than a day, until he had flown further than any dragon had been before. But he kept flying, hoping that he would find some fire to put in his tummy. After flying for more than 3 days, suddenly Griffin thought he saw some smoke on the horizon. If there's smoke, it means there must be fire, he thought to himself. Feeling very excited, he flapped his wings even harder and went as fast as any dragon had ever been, and he headed straight for the faraway smoke. As he got closer, a huge mountain appeared out of the clouds. The smoke was coming out of the top of the mountain. As he flew closer, he started to slow down and started to go down and down until he landed with a gentle bump right on the top of the mountain. He had landed on the edge of a giant volcano. Griffin looked down into the volcano, and he could see bright red and orange sea of bubbling lava. Oh dear, thought Griffin. It looks very dangerous and very, very hot, but it's not fire. He was rather disappointed, but then he had another thought. I wonder if I put some lava in my tummy, that might make fire for my mouth. So being a very brave dragon, he slowly slipped down the side of the volcano, right to the edge of the bubbling lava. Then he opened his mouth and took a bite out of the lava. He swallowed it all down in one big lump. His tummy suddenly started to feel hot and burning inside, and then a strange feeling, and then poof! A puff of black smoke snorted out of his nose. It felt very weird, but he remembered that if there was smoke, perhaps there is fire too. So this time he opened his mouth even wider and took an even bigger bite of lava, and swallowed it down quickly. Oh, 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 hot, oh, hot, hot, oh, hot, hot. And then, fire came shooting out of Griffin's mouth. It was the brightest, most orangey yellow fire you'd ever seen, and it went high up into the sky. He said, I think I found fire for my mouth. So he took a deep breath and tried again. And a cloud of fire came shooting back out of his mouth, right into the sky, even bigger and brighter than the first. I've done it! I've done it! I found fire for my mouth! Griffin was so excited, he opened his giant wings, bent his legs and jumped into the sky again, and flew up and up and up right to the top of the sky and headed back to Dragonia. He flew as fast as he could, flying back over the mountains and valleys and castles and rivers and seas. He didn't stop until he saw Dragonia in the distance. He couldn't wait to show his friends his new fire. As Griffin flew closer, his friends were all playing outside. They looked up and saw a giant dragon flying at full speed towards them. They suddenly got worried. They didn't know it was Griffin. "Oh, watch out!" they cried. Griffin didn't slow down for his landing, and he came tearing in at full speed and landed with a whoosh and a skid and a cloud of dust. "Hello, everybody," said Griffin. "Griffin!" shouted all his friends. "Where have you been? We thought you'd disappeared forever." Griffin smiled. "I've been to find fire for my mouth." "Fire for your mouth?" said his friends. "But you don't have any fire in your mouth. That's why we always beat you at Firetig." "No fire in my mouth," smiled Griffin. "Well, watch this." Griffin took a deep breath and threw out a huge shot of fire from his mouth. It went high into the sky and was bright orange and red. "Wow!" said all his friends. "That is the brightest and biggest fire we've ever seen from any dragon. Where did you find your fire?" "Well, that's my secret," said Griffin. "Perhaps I will tell you if you can beat me at Firetig." So Griffin and all his friends flapped their wings and jumped into the air. The biggest ever game of Firetig started, and Griffin shot around the sky, burning everyone's bottoms. Nobody was able to shoot fire like Griffin. Griffin was the happiest dragon in Dragonia, and now he loved to play Firetig with his friends. Sometimes he even let them win. But you know what? He never told them where he found his fire. And little did Griffin know that that fire was going to give him special powers too.